to it.
Nice place. They're really.
So it's starting to back up, and I'm getting on 33 and going Hecktown Road, coming across that way.
What a mess.
That's true.
Hello. How you doing? Thanks.
All the work you all did to create economic development and bring people here and get highways built and do these things. All right, ready to rock and roll? Well, you're 2 minutes. 2 minutes.
Thank you for entrusting me with your son.
Well, thank you for not dropping him out the open door. No, nothing like seeing the video when you didn't know that that's what he was doing that day.
I didn't know it was your kid. It was just some kid.
But it was, he saw it was a great experience. He thinks you are so cool. Yeah, so thank you for your help.
Yeah. Her son is a professional cameraman, and he's working on one of the movies that's being filmed in the area. And they had engaged me to do the aerial shots for the movie. And so his son ended up, we flew with the door off the helicopter, he's hanging out the door filming a car going down Route 78, and it turned out it was his son.
He went to university.
I don't really know the plot.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's authority meeting. Thank you all for braving the traffic on 22 to get here. You join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So that we call the roll?
Yes, sir. Ann Baum. Bill Berger.
Here.
Dean Browning.
Here.
John Cramsey. Chuck Dicon.
Here.
Mike Dowd.
Here.
Glenn Geisinger.
Here.
Larry Hemberger. Neil Copeland. Ed Lozano. Jeff Matskin.
I'm here on the telephone.
Hi, Jeff.
Hi.
Ted Rosenberger.
Here.
Mike Schwer.
Here.
Mark Troutman.
Here.
Chris Worley.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Very good, thank you. We have public comment. And hearing none,
Mike, I'd
yes,
just like to make a public comment that,
you're not public.
well, I kind of am for this, because it's not really new business. It's just, I want to thank Ted Rosenberger on behalf of the entire community for being, well, we had a very good show on Wings and Wheels, but I've got to say that Ted went far above and beyond and then some. He even continued to run his helicopter for rides, 2 hours after we closed, to get rid of the people standing in line.
The video was great.
Yeah, I think we should say thank you. Yeah, let me add to that, Bill, because I wanted to begin by saying thanks to Ted, thanks to the staff, and thanks to all the board members who showed up on Saturday. It was I thought a wonderful day. We had a great time. It was really fun to listen to see the people lined up to get a helicopter ride, and Ted was remarkably good with all those folks. And the enthusiasm was tremendous. I think the enthusiasm around the airport was tremendous. People seemed to enjoy themselves. They, folks who lived, right down the street who had never been there. And so I think we got marvelous exposure. So thanks to Ted, thanks to all of you, thanks to the staff for putting together a great day. I thought it was remarkably well done and got great PR all the way around. Again, thanks to all of the authority members who made themselves available last week for the special phone call we had. And for your patience in getting through. We'll talk perhaps a little bit in Charles' report about what we've done to make sure we don't have that difficulty in calling in again. But for all of you who tried mightily and several times to get in, we thank you. To the business of the day, I entertain a motion to approve the minutes as distributed. Bill, do we have a second?
Second.
And any comments, any questions, any corrections? Then all those in favor of accepting the minutes as distributed, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Very good. As we move into reports of the committees and so on, we turn it over, as usual, to Dean and to Todd, and to bring us up to speed on our finances.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As usual, on the Treasurer's Report, I'd like to start with the monthly traffic count, which is on page 15 of your packet.
I think we should start putting that in the front. Right?
Yes. Yes, we should, rather than burying it in the back. You'll notice in July, we were down slightly from July, the same month in 2015, although significantly better than any of the previous years reported. For the year-to-date traffic count, here is a little bit more than 402,000. That compares to 393,000 for the same 7 months last year. That's an increase of about 8,600 passengers, or about 2.2%. So we continue to do better than we did last year on traffic count. We also see that in the financial results. If you'll turn to page 13 of your packet, we'll go through briefly the year-to-date results. Starting at the top, if you'll go down to the second highlighted black line that says total operating income, you will see that for the first 7 months of this year, our total operating income was a bit more than $3.6 million. That was $214,000 better than budget and $195,000 better than the same period last year. The detail behind that performance is on page 19. It's a walkthrough should you be inclined to go and look at that. I'm not going to go there now, but if you're interested in the details, you can find it there. In summary, basically, we've got several countervailing forces going on from the revenue side. We were under budget on the revenue side, primarily due to ground handling and lower air terminal fees. Offsetting that, we had a favorable variance to budget for salaries and benefits, and also utility costs and material supplies, primarily due to the warm winter that we had. Net result of all of this, if you go down another couple of lines, the total income, including non-operating items, is a little bit less than $3.7 million. That's roughly $300,000 better than budget for the same for the 7 months this year, and roughly $318,000 better than last year. One of the drivers between operating income and total income is that we did have a favorable variance for interest expense, both versus budget and the same period last year. One final item to point out on page 13, if you'll go down to the bank balances under operating accounts, if you look at the total number, $9.5 million cash in the bank. That is a substantial improvement over where we have been historically. And the one caution I would have with that, though, I know that we are looking for items, particularly for Braden and other areas within the system. My caution would be that we take a overall view, a five-year look at where we need to be from a capital planning standpoint, what we have in cash, and absent any other land sales. The only cash that we're going to have is what we have in hand and what we generate from operations. So I think it would behoove us to take a 5-year look at what we have in the way of cash flow before we embark upon any substantial cash outlays.
Well said. Thank you. Any questions for Dean?
Yeah, Dean, I guess I'm just curious about the operating accounts. Does that look pretty good to you in terms of where we're putting the money?
Yes, it does.
Okay.
I got one on page 19, just maybe you or Todd. On like the parking, seem to take a big hit, as well as these handling fees, ground handling fees. Like, what's the reason for like less flights, and does that correlate exactly to 200,000 in parking?
I was going to ask that.
Todd can address that.
Some of the effects of the parking are due to the Uber and some of the off-lot parking that are taking some of our parking business. So, we're still taking a look at that this year. So we think a lot of it is Uber, and like some hotels are doing some of their services that are.
What's the ground handling piece?
Well, the ground handling piece is a function of less than 2 flights, which we budget for.
Okay.
For the charter, or for the cargo
So
operation.
think about that ramping up your projections
Yeah,
are.
that's ramping up. I mean, we budgeted 2 for the entire year. We are about 1.8. I think I put the graph in there. We're about 1.8 year to date, and we expect that to ramp up for the latter part of the year.
Well, actually, we're at 4.
We're at 4 now.
For the report, we're at 1.8.
Correct.
And just so everyone knows, we look at this at our monthly committee meeting report, and we recognize that without any experience, we had to budget flat. We didn't know what the seasonality would be, so you'll see this up and down throughout the year and probably through most of next year, because we need some time to get a sense of what the actual pattern will be. So don't be surprised if you see some dips, but then also some increases to balance out.
Thank you, Ann, because you really do keep on top of that, and I was impressed when I sat down with the committee the last time. It was really good to see all the information flow through, so thank you.
Dean, what are the money market rates for this type of balance from the various banks? What are they paying?
2%?
Fortunately, they don't charge us to keep the money.
That's about all we got going.
That's about the best we can do.
We moved a lot of our reserves across the street, so we're getting about 2%.
Okay, the BSBT?
Yes.
I was going to mention, because I did
But
the
on
same.
our other balances, they're pretty.
I did the same, right? I was at one of the other local names, and it was at like 0.4%. I moved it over to BSBT, and they're paying 1. That was what I was going to say. Okay.
I'm trying to get off. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go?
Muted.
Jeff, you may want to mute.
That's right.
Who else is on here?
All right.
Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go?
Hey, Jeff, mute your phone.
That's not me.
Oh.
Sorry.
Who is on the phone? Jeff and who?
Jeff, talk to your bells, bud.
We're not going to omit it now, huh?
Hello, anybody out there? No, it's just me. Just me.
All right,
Okay.
very good.
Yeah.
So let us move on.
Motion to approve.
Pardon me. Motion to approve the treasury report as distributed.
So moved.
Ann, do a second?
Second.
Bill? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any other discussion? All those in favor, opposite, those opposed, say aye. Sorry about that.
Good job.
Got it done.
Good job.
Dean, thank you very much, and Todd, thank you very much. I think, again, we say this every month, I think we're much better control of our finances than we've ever been before, so large measure, that's to your credit. So move to the executive committee meeting at our last authority meeting, or our last authority meeting in this room, in any case, we did present a proposed amendment to the bylaws, and the basic content of that is to merge 2 of our committees into one, that capital planning and the capital planning committee finance would merge into one committee. Committees would indeed have the opportunity to be combined. But do we have any discussion or any comments, any questions with regard to that? Was discussed again at the executive committee last Wednesday and moved to come to the floor. So I have a motion to approve. Bill, we have a second?
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Then all those in favor of the amendment as distributed, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We do have a quorum of 10 to vote for that, so that will move forward.
The record should reflect that there are all board members present voted, and there are in excess of 10 members.
All right, so be sure the record reports that. And Ann, you had a busy week, a busy Wednesday last week, so you want to share with us your report?
Yes, so we actually have 3 items for approval that are being recommended by what is now officially the Joint Finance and Capital Planning Committee. The first item, the items begin on page 10 of your packet. And do we want to talk through each of these?
Yes,
Okay.
Brian, could you?
I just have a couple slides too, like we've been doing in the past, just to summarize what we're looking for approval on. So as Ann mentioned, the first item is the approval to acquire an aircraft rescue and firefighting vehicle. We've been discussing this equipment at a lot of our capital planning meetings. But just a quick summary, it's required to replace a 1996 vehicle, which you'll see on the photo on the top right of the screen. It's been identified as a replacement requirement through our airport certification inspections as well. We put bids out in July, received the specialized equipment from the two manufacturers. You'll see there, Oshkosh was the lowest bidder. The equipment that they would be providing is the picture on the lower right. Definitely a little bit more updated than our old 96.
Looks like it's ready to take off.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
So, and this is the approval for an FAA grant, which also includes the equipment, about $70,000 worth of the equipment. And you'll see the cost breakdown there as well, which is included in our capital program, and our share of it's about $44,000. So we're looking for approval to accept the FAA grant offer for the equipment.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the recommendation.
Second, Dean. Any comments, any questions?
I have a quick question. How do they come up with the formula with the FAA picking up 90%? Is that because it's a requirement, or?
The Airport Improvement Program provides that 90% will fund each project. So it comes, that's a discretionary grant that we get, but that's what the formula is, and that's in the legislation.
And it's 90%?
Yes, it is.
What did you say it's considered for, Charles? Airport Improvement?
Airport Improvement Program is the name of the program in the legislation. The Federal Aviation Administration goes, the current reauthorization ends in September of 2017. And so every year we take our capital improvement program and see what projects are going to be funded between discretionary funds as well as entitlement monies.
And get 95% of
90%.
90%.
And we get 5% from the state.
Is there like wiggle room in there in terms of what's considered improvement programs?
Well, there are certain projects that are eligible and certain ones are ineligible. The closer you are to the midpoint of the runway will maximize this eligibility, but as you get further away, it lessens its possibility of being eligible.
Okay, thank you.
What do we do with the old equipment? I'm sorry.
Are there two separate approvals involved, state and federal, or if the federal government approves it, then the state automatically
The
approves it?
state automatically funds it, yes.
What do we do with the old equipment?
Sure. So currently we have 4 vehicles, 4 ARC vehicles in our fleet, and obviously this vehicle will replace Rescue 3, and it would take that position. The existing Rescue 3 that we have there would actually serve as a backup vehicle. We have one backup vehicle now. That's actually a 1988 vehicle. Our proposal would actually be to move that vehicle, the 1988 vehicle, to Queen City, to stage down there as another resource capability for Queen City.
And then we can start a museum.
Pretty soon.
It's historically protected. You can't do anything.
That's right.
Maybe we could get the antique vehicle
That's right.
license plate.
Yeah. Any other questions or comments? Then all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? Very good. I must say it was fun Saturday to watch the little kids climb up and down on all the equipment. There was a couple of major pieces of equipment there, and they just had a wonderful time. And it was kind of neat to see and get them excited about being there. All right. Next item, Ann.
The second item is related to the rehabilitation of our runway, and Ryan is still.
Sure, yep, take that one as well. So again, you'll see on the screen just a brief summary as well as in your packet on page 11. We're looking for approval to accept another FAA grant to start the design to rehabilitate our primary runway 624. You can see a couple photos here. The pavement was last rehabilitated in 1999. The pavement's beyond its useful life. Asphalt, depending on the environment and usage, generally is about a 15-year lifespan. Again, multiple areas experiencing cracking and in need of constant repairs. So we've been working with the FAA to try to get this funded, which is what this grant is for. The design is programmed into 2 phases. The approval today will be for the first phase. The second phase programmed next year. And right now, the construction is programmed into 3 construction phases. As part of the design, which this phase and the second phase will get to, is what the construction cost will be, the duration, the impacts to operations, those kinds of things. So those items will really be weeded out as we go through the design. So we're looking for the approval to accept this grant. You'll see the cost breakdown there. Again, it's been included in our capital budget. Our share is about $10,000.
Question for you. So is this a complete removal of the old material, or is this paving on top of it?
It's basically a mill and overlay, or mill and replace, but while we do the design, any areas that need further attention will be taken care of.
And what, why is the study so expensive?
Really, it's the main thing is to bring the runway up to the newer standards, or making sure it meets the standards. So you're not only dealing with longitudinal grade, but the lateral line of sight, those issues, as well as the actual depth of what was put in place back in 1999, just to make sure it's up to the same standards the FAA is looking for. So it really, and it's, the 7,600 feet, it's a lot of pavement that you're really evaluating.
And the FAA requires that?
The FAA requires it, they fund it, and they have specific specifications of the type of asphalt you're using, the type of mix for each, not getting too technical, with each run that you're doing, they have to do tests to make sure the pavement is within certain ranges. So it's pretty extensive in terms of that.
Brian, I mean, you also said there are a couple of exacerbating circumstances with regard to what may underlay the current runway that they have to test. And if we want to talk about that at all? Or?
Correct, yeah, and in terms of what was done in the past, in terms of the fill, and again, the sub base underneath almost the surface base that you see now, there's some different material under there that we just have to make sure is consistent with the latest standards. And we make a repair that a couple years down the road we're not going to have any issues. So it's just something that the design will really make sure that we make sure we're making the repair that's going to last a long time.
And you said we also have a weird shaped runway.
Correct. Yeah, we have currently, we call it a W section, is at the ends of the runway it kind of curves back up where we have stormwater drains. Typical design now is just a typical Y or V section with the water running off the edge of the runway. As most of you know, our area is very prone to sinkholes and those types of things, so that'll be part of the design as well, is seeing how we either get rid of that section and remediate any type of sinkholes, or is it with shoulders, those kinds of things. So that'll come into play as well in terms of, again, it's not just ripping the pavement out and putting over, it's redesigning a lot of the grading as well.
So this is funding for the first phase?
The first phase of the design, yes.
We'll come back, how soon do you think?
Right now, we have a program next year to get the second phase of design. Once we get that, or at least move forward further with the design, we'll know construction timeframe, costs, or these items that we're hoping to release.
Since that's a prime runway, you'll come back at that time, I presume, with some idea of what we'll be doing to accommodate aircraft and so on.
Correct. Yeah, right now we're assuming it'll be night work, and then make the changes as needed depending on what we need to do. That's something we're definitely cognizant of, reduce the amount of impacts as much as possible once we get to that point.
What's the status of 3113 in terms of the
I think it was last rehabilitated around 2000, but because it's not used as frequently, its condition is in better shape. So after we get done this one, that'll probably be the next push that we'll take the FAA on. So something we'll just keep an eye on.
Are there local firms that could handle this work, that have the expertise and everything?
So on behalf of the committee, will you do anything?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the phase 1 design as recommended.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Bill, any other comments or questions? Yes, Larry.
I just had a curiosity comment. I saw in LNAA shares 5% here, and yet on the fire truck it was 10%.
No?
It's 5%. It's 5% on
It's
both.
5%.
I'm sorry.
It's 5% on both.
Oh, was? Okay, my apologies. Okay.
10,000.
And no other questions? All those in favor, please. Mark.
Just last thing, I think he's clear now. Ted said study earlier, but he said design enough that now I think it's just wanted to make sure there's a difference between a study and a design. Yes, so that's final product.
Right, and there's so much,
Yeah.
Brian shared with us at our committee, there's so much that goes into us, like how we manage our traffic during this time. So it's not just how much asphalt we put down on top of that.
If you want to have your eyeballs peeled back, find out what the bid is to do the work, we'll really be surprised. All right, any other questions? May, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Yeah, Ryan, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And then
And so we can really get your calculators working. Our next component is approving the bid for the multimodal transportation center, and Ryan will walk us through that as well.
Absolutely. So again, if you look up on the screen, we have a summary as well as page 12 in your packet. We're looking for approval of a bid to Wilmer R. Schultz, who is the lowest responsible bidder on this project. We received 4 bids on August 22nd. There were 5 general contractors that came to the pre-bid meeting. So the fact that 4 of them bid the project is really promising. And you'll see the breakout. They're all relatively close in terms of their price. One thing I know we discussed at the Finance and Capital Committee was based on the bid specifications of 86 line items that each contractor bids on. In terms of the quantity, what material we're looking for, all that information. So they all bid on the same items. We had the engineer look at it just to make sure they're comfortable with the items that they bid on, as well as the prices, which they agreed with Schultz's price and where they fell. And you'll see here, as Ann mentioned, in terms of the calculator, is we're really trying to leverage the most amount of funding that we can with this project, just because of how valuable we believe its importance is. You see the bid total there. The PFCs are our passenger facility charges, with a breakdown, and then the PFCs are our customer facility charges. And it's important to note, as part of the PennDOT Multimodal Transportation Fund grant, we're required to cover at least $750,000 of that share, which is what brings us around that $751,000. So we included in our capital program. You can see a tentative schedule there, but the next thing with the board's approval to move forward with Schultz is we'll be sitting down with them to really define the schedule, and then also work internally in terms of the cash flow, just to make sure if there's anything we need to adjust based on submittals or based on materials we talked about as well in the committee, certain value engineering as needed with the type of materials. Before we make any purchases, you have a shop drawing, which is specifications. So if there's anything that you can get similar for a different price, you can make those adjustments there. So with this approval, we're looking for Schultz as a not to exceed amount, and again, it changes with quantities and values based on actual construction numbers. So
Where does it go after this if you approve it? Does PennDOT have to review it, or?
PennDOT's reviewed everything to this point. They'll be included in any of our meetings that we have, which they like to do as needed. But really, we just keep them abreast as we go through.
All right.
So meet with the contractor next, I'm sorry, Mark, go on.
Finish.
No, go on.
I was just going to ask, during construction, have you looked at, is there some traffic disruption that we're going to experience, or an airport road, et cetera?
Airport Road shouldn't be an issue. It'll be very minimal when you come down the Arrivals Road when they're doing some of that paving, but the entire site is going to be fenced off and coordinated. We'll have the maintenance traffic plan, those kinds of things.
It will impact the rail vehicles and so on.
What we're doing there, they're going to all be temporarily located on the picture off the screen in the back of the old economy lot. We'll be doing shuttle service with them. So once we move forward with the approval, those kinds of schedules, getting the word out to folks, just so they're aware of what's going on, is when that'll start to occur.
Ryan?
Would you please just remind everybody why we're doing this project, what we hope to accomplish?
Absolutely. So what we're really trying to accomplish is definitely increasing our passenger convenience and accessibility to the airport. We're consolidating our rental car operations, covered walkways, really making it amendable to the passengers, as well as bringing in Transbridge and Lanta service to the airport, which will help as well. So that's really the bulk of why we're doing it.
And it keeps our rental car people happy. I mean,
Absolutely.
and that's really, I think, a significant customer service issue, both to them as well as to our air traffic people.
Ryan, could we or should we go back to these guys and say the bids were so close, we're requesting you come in with your final and best offer?
That's really what the bids are. It's their final and best offer for those items that we're looking for.
Who said that?
Well, that's what, in terms of the bid process there, I mean, what we'll do with Schultz in terms of the low bidder, just based on the requirements of the
Sure.
municipal law, we'll go to them and just change any items we need to in terms of we want to substitute this type of finish for this other type of
But
finish.
these bids are their first bids, right?
Correct, and really it should be their best offer.
Is it GMP then? Is it a guaranteed maximum price?
Correct.
And then is there a cost savings provision that's split with LNAA and the contractor? How do you incentivize them to do better?
We had put an incentive to get substantial completion by the end of the year, and then it kind of degrades down from there.
I'm just saying you have your material substitution possibilities, right, to value engineer, but within that as well, when they go out to bid to their 3 trades in each subdivision, right, if they're able to beat the price, is there a cost savings provision? Who gets the benefit of any value engineering that they're able to achieve with subcontractors?
That would be on us to get that benefit in terms of making the substitutions.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That-
I'm not sure.
I
Right,
think
you're
you're
on
talking
the
about
same
two different
page.
things.
So you have your project architect, right, that's keeping an eye on Schultz's work, assuming this gets approved, right? Schultz will go out to at least typically 3 trades all the way through, right, concrete, steel, et cetera, et cetera. If they're able to achieve savings over what the bid components were, typically on the outside, you would benefit, right, the owner would benefit as well as the contractors to incentivize the contractor to drive the bids down, right? I'm just asking if that component's going to be in the contract.
Typically we only pay for what the actual unit price was of what they actually purchased and then what we actually get. So in terms of if there's a difference, it's really based on what they're purchasing and then constructing. So there really shouldn't be, if they go under what they originally had put, it basically just goes away. It's not.
It goes to them.
He keeps it.
Yeah, I mean, if it's $5 million and they do the job for 4.5, like Chuck's asking the question.
Which is not unusual. He's
Yeah.
getting a GC fee, right, in general conditions and all those types of profit centers, quote unquote.
Right. And those would be in there, whatever lump sum items they have.
Yeah.
That's how they cover those.
And I'm naive as to how, on the government side, we work with contractors. Since
Yeah.
I'm a new kid in town.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, on the private side, we would typically
Well,
drive
the way
a
we work with them,
contract.
they could take advantage of us. That's all.
Well, okay, let's, Bill?
I think what we're trying to say is typically in the private side, you're going to have a guaranteed maximum price. If the contractor can actually bring it in less than that, then there's usually some sort of negotiated split of the savings in the private side. On the public side, Charles and Ryan, are we allowed to do that?
I don't know, that's a question I was going to ask.
we're not.
Oh, so we're not allowed to do it.
You're not allowed to beat them down.
Well, how about a
any
best and
further.
final, just to cover that territory, though? We
So
don't have
you're,
covered.
it's strictly through the bidding then?
That's right. The bid is
At the
the
top
best and
line,
final.
the bid's the bid.
Bid is the bid.
My remembrance from county government is, once the bid is in,
It's the bid.
I don't think we're allowed to go back and
We can't negotiate
We
once the
cannot go
bid
back
is
and
in.
So any
renegotiate.
savings then in order to.
Well, we're not negotiating, we're just asking them to come back in with their best and final.
Why would I want
We have
to
a
do
process
that?
called value engineering. where we
Sorry.
look at-
Why would I want to pass the savings on to the airport anyway if I
Well,
was a
they don't have
contractor?
to.
Yeah. Here's maybe here's a thought. We're not to end the discussion, because I think the discussion's fruitful, and I think it's really beneficial for the staff to hear what happens in the private sector. We've got expertise here. It seems to me we're about 99% of the way down the road on this project, but it might be well, for Chuck and John, when you have at some point sit down with Ryan as we look at these, and we don't know as authority members what we can and can't do legally. He probably does,
Yeah.
but it might not be bad to put some of that discipline in the discussion
Yeah.
at some point.
It's a good suggestion.
Okay, educational for me, I
Thank
just
you.
wasn't aware how.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd like to move the approval of the bid for the multimodal transportation center to be awarded to Wilmer R. Schultz, Inc. In a bid not to exceed $5,097,146.42. Are you sure about the 42 cents?
43 just to cover
Yeah, just
ourselves.
in case, a little wiggle room.
Couples chuck in the 42 cents to make it easier. We have a motion, do we have a second? Dean. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any other discussion? All those opposed, any opposed, please say like sign. Again, Ryan, Ann, thank you very much.
Hey, Mike, can I ask Ryan a question? It's not on this, but
Yep.
I read it in some notes. There's something about the switchgear replacement, and it said something about 6 months and someone not paying. I just don't remember what exactly that was since you're up.
It was electrical.
Sure. The switchgear was awarded to Wind Gap Electric. They're working through the project. There's it's a 6-month construction timeframe, but there's a lead time to get the gear. And I believe that piece we're funding through Tetra. Maybe that was your.
Oh, I thought it said someone was not going to pay, and it had to do with 6 months, or if we didn't do it in 6 months, or, I don't know.
I'm not, well, with any project, if you go over the construction duration, there's liquidated damages depending on certain conditions. I don't know if that's what.
Okay, well, I might not read it again. I'm honestly misinterpreted some of it.
We can talk about it.
But thanks to the committee, I think, for a really good discussion. I think that was a fruitful meeting.
Even though you're shutting us down.
I'm taking Ann for her meeting, not you.
Okay.
So John, you can come to our meeting.
Okay, I'm
And then Mike won't cut you off.
Thank you.
So I am at the moment shutting you down. Charles, the executive.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We will start with the video clip of Wings and Wheels.
This is very exciting. At 11 o'clock in the morning, you see a line of people before the gates open, and that's what it's all about. We want to promote aviation, promote the airport system.
What I like about it is that it gives children an opportunity to see the aviation equipment up close and personal. I mean, our son can touch the airplanes today. He can see what it takes to run an airport.
My kids are all going to want to fly airplanes now. I always do. I want to fly an airplane.
I think it's remarkably important, particularly for youngsters, to have a sense of the possible. I think they need to understand that all things are possible to them. If they work hard, if they dream dreams, establish some visions, they can do almost anything they want to do. This opens a whole new vision. If a youngster sitting inside the cockpit of a plane and thinking, maybe I can do this, I think it's a wonderful thing to see.
There's people watching us, but now you can't even walk, and even though I'm a certified pilot, I think this is ultra important. They should do this on a yearly basis. This airport, from my understanding, was built to support the Seawolf project, which was going to be an advanced torpedo bomber if the war with Japan went on to 46 or 47. When I was growing up, they said, yeah, they built 1 or 2 bombers, and that was it. Then they ended the Seawolf program. I'm just amazed that there's any Seawolf parts. I didn't think anything was left from the Seawolf project.
It was fun, and since it was my first time, it wasn't painful. Like, it just felt like a plane ride, basically.
For me, it was awesome. I got to play up with Tony Park, experiencing what a helicopter ride would be like.
Well, it's certainly an exciting thing to do since I want to fly helicopters in the Coast Guard. So it gives me an experience on what I'm actually going to be doing without actually flying the helicopter. Challenger down there, the red and white one with the supercharger. I'd really like to take that one home with me. More we can get people interested at a young age at an airport like this, I think would be great for the future of aviation in the country.
I think it brings a lot of people out here that either didn't know it existed or had no idea what it's like out here. You know, I haven't been here since probably the 60s when there was an event here.
So by us being here today, opening the gates, having them come in on the airfield, and see the different people in the career fields, law enforcement, first responders, aircraft rescue and firefighters, engineers, operations workers, they're all here today. Without engaging the community, we cannot be successful. We need to make sure that we are in a constant dialogue with the community so they know about us, they know what we're trying to accomplish, they know where our mission is, they buy into it. And so this is all good, making sure people know, hey, we're here, we want to be a part of the community, we want to be a good neighbor, and we want you to be a part of aviation.
Ted Rosenberg, one of the things that was not mentioned is that he made a personal contribution of $1,000 to the aviation education program. Thank you, Ted, for your hard work.
Putting a little peer pressure on us, huh?
When you think about a couple of the experiences we've had, you know, in the past 6 months, really remarkable from the community relations standpoint. You know, this event.
When did this take place, Mike?
20th.
The Queen City.
Of August.
Yeah, 20th of August.
It was pretty well publicized, right?
Yes, it was. We tried to get it up.
How did we feel about the turnout?
We're ecstatic.
Okay.
A lot of people came out. Yeah, I think
The parking lots were full, and
Yeah.
people were walking quite a distance to get in. And
Are we going to make this
Mike
a regular
must have been
thing?
walking on air, huh?
We're about to do a debrief, and we'll make a recommendation after that.
Do you have a sense of, and we talked a little bit, Charles, about the cost to us to do this day?
We don't know just yet, but it was a low-budget effort. We were thinking somewhere between $5,000 and $10,000, maybe even less than that.
That's a bargain
Yeah.
price for, I think, what we got, without question.
In terms of other issues, we had our emergency plan exercise tabletop. This is a TSA requirement that we do on an annual basis. We did that last evening. We had 80 participants and 32 agencies represented, including the FBI and the TSA, passenger and cargo airlines, as well as mutual aid first responders from around the community. The exercise gives us the opportunity to look at how we would respond to a real-life emergency. Once every 3 years, we're required to have a full-blown emergency exercise, which is scheduled for April 2017. Mentioned last month the CFO of the Year Awards Program. I wanted to follow up this month. The Lehigh Valley Business and Association with Concannon, Miller and Company, an accounting firm, they're hosting this event, but two of our own are being recognized. Todd Kwan is going to be the award recipient for Best Turnaround Specialist, and Dean Browning is a finalist for the private company with revenues over $25 million.
Congratulations to both of you. That's great.
The award will be presented on the 14th of September at DeSales University. If anyone is interested, we do have some seats available. Please get your name to Sylvette. We would be glad to have you join us.
That's in the evening, Charles?
No, I think it's
in the morning.
it's in the morning.
14?
The 14th of September, yes. In terms of other upcoming events, we have the polo match at Brayton on the 18th of September, and that starts at 1 o'clock. It is a 3-hour polo match event.
And that benefits Equilibrium.
Equilibrium, yes. And we will be in their tent, so if anyone's interested as well, please let Sylvette know of your interest.
Just, Chuck, didn't you say there was something else
There's a
happening?
fly-in September 11th at Easton, at November 43. Safety seminars. I passed on to Colin this morning an email that I received from LVGAA outlining the itinerary. So Colin's going to distribute. Is Colin still over here?
He's behind the camera.
Colin's going to distribute that information, and Colin and I talked yesterday about linking EAA into LNAA so that everything's kind of working in sync. But September 11th, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
In terms of the airport master plan update, you'll recall you just approved the grant from the Federal Aviation Administration. At the end of September, we are scheduling the kickoff meeting. We have already posted the scope of services as well as the schedule to our public website. So that process will get started next month, and we're very excited about getting that going. And lastly, just a reminder that next month, September's board meeting will be at 7 p.m. here in the boardroom on the 20th of September. So it's going to be an evening meeting. That was a commitment we made to both Lehigh and Northampton County to make it accessible for community members to come out. And the last item that Mike mentioned had to do with the how we do teleconferencing. We have subscribed to GoToMeeting, so to make it a better, more seamless process. And if the first effort does not work, we do have a backup or contingency, so that in the future, we should not have those teleconferencing issues that we did before. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
You'll give us all a call-in methodology and so on.
Absolutely. It's
pretty easy.
It's pretty easy.
I use GoToMeeting all the time, so that's it.
I will say, after I got connected for the executive committee meeting, the GoToMeeting worked great.
Good.
Excellent.
And for my part, it took me a while to get connected this morning, but after trying once again on an alternative, I was able to get connected.
All right, well, it's good for us to know too, so go back, we can check on things.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Eddie.
Quick comment, great job on the Queen City thing, and basically the General Aviation Committee, when we met, had wonderful feedback in terms of, management doing and staff doing a great job, so thank you very much, but also some really good feedback for next year's events. So I think we shared that with Colin, and hopefully it'll be an even better event next year with the input from the GACC. One separate thing I wanted to just raise, I remember, and I'm sorry I missed the Treasury report, but last meeting I had asked if, and I know I've asked this repeatedly, about tracking national statistics in terms of passenger traffic, et cetera. There is a great source. The Department of Transportation has a wonderful website that tracks all passenger traffic, cargo traffic, et cetera. Just for perspective, I just noodled through it really quickly, and what's great is we've been trending pretty much neck and neck with national traffic over the first few months. So, for example, nationally, passenger traffic increased 5.52 in January, 8.36 February, 3.42 in March. We trended 6, 7, and 3%. So we're neck and neck. Interestingly, though, in the last couple of months, nationally, we were trending about 4%, 4.14 in May, and 4.8% in June in terms of passenger traffic. We at LNAA were down 0.75% and then 0.55%. So it looks like there's a small divergence, something that's probably just a little speed bump, nothing to worry about. But it's the kind of thing that I think when you track against national, regional, et cetera, could be a foretelling sign of, hey, there's something either amiss or, hey, it was just a little speed.
He's a regular viewer. So it is interesting that people are taking advantage of the opportunity, and I think it's from our standpoint, effort well spent.
Bureau of Aviation.
Mr. Freeberg, any?
Well, I have a few matters that I'd like to discuss in executive session, but one I can discuss here in public session, and that is just to advise you that we filed tax exemption applications in Lehigh County for properties that the airport authority owns, and those matters have been scheduled for hearing on September 8th. There'll be staff present at that, and of course, council will be present as well. And the other two matters that I want to discuss relate to litigation matters. One is the WBF litigation, and the other is the Airport Ventures litigation, and I'd like to do that in executive session, please.
And you wouldn't anticipate any action taken on either of those?
I don't expect any action taken. It's just to advise the members of the board as to what the status is and answer any questions.
All right. So to move things forward, is there any other new business we should be discussing? If there isn't, then I'll entertain a motion to move into executive session. Motion and second. Multiplicity of motions and seconds. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Judge, on the properties and the tax situation, why would you have ownership property?
Got to get a declaration. Taxing authorities in the county have to say, yes, you are exempt for this formality as far as I'm concerned. I don't see it as being controversial.
Got it. So that's why my ears were burning. I was like, I got to get that done. So.